In May 1992, Gloucester police in England received a tip that a young teenage girl had opened up about having been sexually abused by her father.
Oh, God.
The girl had 9 siblings, only 7 of whom still lived at home at 25 Cromwell Street. The 2 who no longer lived there had left of their own accord. Or had they? Police had no idea that this one tip would end up uncovering one of the most horrific stories they would ever hear, and we will ever hear, I hope, of the most heinous crimes, including multiple murders over 20 years.
20 years?
Committed by a husband and wife.
Oh, my God.
This is the story of the House of Horrors and Fred and Rosemary West.
Oh, my God. I know this story and I don't know this story, so I'm very excited to hear you tell this story.
Unfortunately, after researching this one deeply, I know it very well.
Oh, my God.
This episode, all of our episodes that deal with crime obviously come with trigger warnings. I want to give some really strong trigger warnings up the top of this one in particular. It deals with the deaths of children and physical and sexual abuse.
Yes, okay.
Of adults and children. Now, I don't go into detail about the sexual abuse, but it does come up, unfortunately. So lots of trigger warnings here. Sure. All right, are you ready?
No. Yep. Okay, I am now.
Fred West was born in 1941 in rural Herefordshire. And now,
Herefordshire?
Yes, I think it's that. But
yeah, okay.
Like Leicester is Leicester, not Leicester.
Yeah.
I think it's Herefordshire.
Herefordshire.
And I apologise if it's not. In England. Into a large and economically struggling family. His parents were named Walter and Daisy, which sounds like a Disney couple.
It does, and also like very British as well, Walter and Daisy.
They were not a Disney couple.
Walter Daisy.
That's right. Oh, yeah, maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why you're thinking it, yeah.
Walt Disney. Yeah. Oh, my God. My brain is not that. Like, it's pretty easy to read. Fred was the second of 8 children, but 2 of his siblings died during or shortly after childbirth.
Oh, okay.
Fred was born a year after Daisy's first daughter, Violet, had died. By all accounts, Fred was very much Daisy's favourite, even above her husband.
Oh, wow, okay.
And because of this, he did not have a good relationship with his father, Walter.
Yeah, sure.
Because, being jealous of a baby is totally normal and fine.
Normal and fine and cool.
And actually pretty cool. The living space where they lived on a farm was very cramped. The bathrooms were simply buckets, and they ate... a lot of the time, all the children ate in a day was the unpasteurised milk his dad would bring home from work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Despite being very much loved by his mother at home, it was not a good upbringing and he did not have good relationships otherwise. Fred was bullied for being a mummy's boy and was described as dim, which it's not a nice way to describe someone,
no.
but I enjoy that word.
Dim is a fun way to describe someone.
It's very you can see it's like a light not
Yeah,
bright,
it makes total sense when you say it, but yeah, everyone knows exactly what you mean, even if you've never heard the word dim.
And also we're allowed to call Fred dim because he's much worse than that.
Yeah.
His brothers, Doug and John in particular, really hated him, and they would all the siblings would be physically punished by their father. Fred dropped out of school early. He was academically stunted, but he was dim, exactly. But also there were questions raised about whether he was also stunted in other areas, particularly socially, emotionally, and even sexually. He would later say he was sexually abused by his mother, but I'm very much noting that he was the only one that ever said this.
Right.
His brothers have come out and said that they don't believe it to be true at all.
Of Fred's accusations, they don't believe them to be true. Okay,
yes.
sure.
And they may be, but Fred is not
a reliable source.
Perhaps a reliable source. And that his dad taught him about sex by showing him how to do it. Not on him, but I don't need to go in now. But his dad taught him about sex, which is not very nice.
No.
By his mid-teens, Fred had developed a very strong interest in the female sex and in the idea of sex. If he saw a girl he wanted, he would go for it, whether he wanted it or not. And I don't mean in sexual, I'm not insinuating rape, but he would just, like physically grab at girls and try to, get them to come with him and like at dances and on the streets. He was grabby
Forceful.
and touchy and yuck.
Yeah.
He had a bad motorbike accident in 1958 and he was in a coma. So hang on, sorry, what does that make him?
Is it early
about
teens?
16, 17.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And he was in a coma for a week. They didn't know if he would survive
Coma for
this.
a week?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, must have been a really bad one.
Very bad. He slowly regained the ability to speak, but he had a significant head injury and it's not known if this caused lasting brain damage.
Right.
Plus a severe fear and hatred of hospitals. Foreshadowing. During his recovery, he would still go out and try to live a normal life. But after the accident, everyone in his life noted a big change in his attitude, particularly when it came to anger. He became much more aggressive and angered very quickly.
He didn't seem great before, to be honest.
With.
So that's,
exactly.
Yeah, wow, okay.
He told people he was deeply unhappy living at the farm and living under his parents' rule. In the early 60s, he started to get in regular trouble with the law, mostly shoplifting, petty thefts and fights. The worst of his crimes at this time was that he had sexually assaulted his young teenage sister. He didn't understand why his parents and the police were so angry. He admitted, while being questioned, to assaulting multiple young women and girls and didn't realise why everyone had a problem with this.
Oh, my God. I guess if, not excusing this at all, but I think if his dad has shown him certain things, he's obviously got a very warped sense of what's right and what's wrong in these circumstances.
Yeah, that's kind of all this background, I suppose, from all the research suggests in absolutely no way, shape or form excusing or explaining anything, but it does. There is a lot about the multiple head injuries. I haven't gone into the others, but there were other things like fights where he had bad knocks to the head.
When you hear him talk as well, he does his voice is kind of it's a strange voice as well.
He's got a very, very low IQ.
Yes,
and so I mean the way I've put it is kind of stunted in kind of all aspects of emotion, social interactions, everything.
Sure.
In 1962, he met 18-year-old Rena, who was also described as a difficult child. Again, was in trouble for petty theft, fighting. She'd been moved around to different family members to try to bring her back on track. She was actually from Glasgow, but was living in England where and when she met Fred.
Just a side note, that's my favourite accent, the Glaswegian accent.
Glasgow.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Thank you for doing my favourite accent.
The way I can think of a Scottish accent is
Shrek.
This one, a little bit, this one sentence that's from like a little nursery rhyme type thing that my friend Sinead, who is Scottish, taught me. I don't know the rest of the rhyme, but one bit goes, Danny, where's your trousers?
Oh, great.
So that's what I have. So
was
that's
Shrek.
maybe what Rena sounds like.
Shrek.
Danny, where's your trousers? And Shrek.
Yeah.
Come on, do Shrek. I know you want to. Come on.
I don't know what the regular phrase I used to say as Shrek was, but it was like, get out my swamp, donkey.
Yeah.
Was it that?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. That's what he said in the film, I believe.
He said exactly that in the film. So yes, Rena was Glaswegian but living in England when she met Fred. She was working as a sex worker, and when she met Fred, she was pregnant to a Pakistani man. It is speculated that she may have moved to England because her family didn't agree with the pregnancy.
Right.
Particularly given it was going to be a mixed race child.
And this was the 60s, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
1962.
Yeah.
And she
you
was
imagine,
18 years old.
Oh, my God. And you imagine sex work. At that time, they didn't call it that. But sex work, you imagine just how horrible that would have been for her.
Yeah, and the racism with it as well.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Yeah.
But when she met Fred, they quickly got into a relationship, and when her baby daughter arrived, the couple told people that she had actually lost her baby during childbirth and they had adopted this baby to explain why the baby girl had darker skin than both of her parents. The baby's name was Charmaine.
Have you seen the film The Jerk? with Steve Martin, and he's grown up and finds out he's adopted, and he's with a clearly African American beautiful family, and he finds out he's adopted when he's like 20 years old.
It's like Elf.
Yeah, it's exactly like Elf as well. Elf as well.
If he doesn't know he's a human by now, he's never going to know.
I know. Well, that's beautiful because my brother was adopted, and I think it can be hard sometimes realizing that you feel different or you look different or anything, and and obviously back then that would have been harder. My parents found it hard to explain to people. So I imagine at this time it would have been even harder to explain.
Yeah, and isn't that awful as well that people just go, well, why?
Yeah, exactly.
A friend of mine is adopted. She was born in Korea and was adopted to an a white Australian family, and she said she didn't have any concept that she didn't look the same as her parents until she started school, and people asked her why she looked different to her parents.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah. I found a book when I was really young, and the book was called Why Am I Adopted? And I thought it was for me.
Oh, my God, Sammy. Oh, stop. Oh, my God.
I asked Mum and Dad about it.
Oh, I'm just picturing cute little face and the kid photos I've seen of you going, oh.
Just asking the question.
Oh, my sister always tried to tell me I was adopted because she didn't like me, and my mum and I are like the spitting image of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
All right, so baby Charmaine arrived in 1962. Fred became very obsessed with Rena very quickly, thinking she was quite worldly and wild. She'd come from a different country. She'd, had a baby. She'd been working in the sex industry. He would demand sex from her whenever he wanted it. Yeah, right. And Rena essentially felt she had no choice. She also became obsessed with him in what I am describing as a very toxic way. Mm-hmm. She tattooed his name onto her with a backyard tattoo pen.
Oh, wow. That'd be so painful. Ooh. And not sterile as well.
Yeah, also that. Yeah, don't do that at home. It's been suggested that Rena was likely seeking stability and the love she felt she didn't otherwise have in her life. They married in 1962, the year they met. Fred aged 21 and Rena aged 18.
Oh, wow.
They moved out together back to Scotland, where Rena was from, with baby Charmaine. Fred kept his worrying sexual behaviours up and encouraged Rena to go back to sex work to help them make money. But he would berate and punish her for sleeping with other people.
Oh, wow.
It seemed he really used this as a form of serious control and manipulation.
Yeah.
He essentially brought up baby Charmaine as his own, but he didn't ever really bond with her. Mm-hmm. Fred and Rena together biologically this time had a second baby, Anna Marie, in 1964, only a little over a year older than Charmaine. As soon as she arrived, Fred neglected Charmaine even more. In 1965, Fred was working as an ice cream van driver, which
so creepy.
Gross.
Yeah.
When it's not gross to be ice cream van
No,
driver.
but you're not
this is
saying
one
that.
of the most heinous men in history.
Yeah.
And ew. By then, the marriage was really faltering. He was cheating on Rena a lot, and over time he didn't even try to hide it. Rena hired a nanny to help look after the girls. Her name was Issa McNeil. She moved in with them and was helping them. She was a teenage girl herself. Issa described Rena and Fred's marriage as very tumultuous and very violent. Mm-hmm. She said the little girls slept in a bottom bunk with bars fitted to essentially cage them in, and they were only allowed out while Fred was at work.
Oh my God.
A friend of Issa's.
Why? Just so he wouldn't.
Yes, he was so violent and yuck, but also he just didn't want them around. He wanted his time and his peace at home alone. A friend of Issa's, so Issa is the nanny, a friend of hers named Anne McFall, who was also from Scotland, came over to England and spent a lot of time at their home as well. She was 16. Her boyfriend had been killed in a workplace accident, and she really lent on her friend Issa for support and essentially ended up boarding with Fred and Rena as well. In November of the same year, baby Anna Marie was born. Fred accidentally hit and killed a child with the ice cream van.
Oh, how horrific.
And it was ruled that this was totally an accident.
Yep.
How horrific for everyone involved with that. But the town very much turned against him.
Yep.
It would be very hard to, see the person that had been behind the wheel when that happened, whether they were deemed responsible or not.
Absolutely.
So Fred made the decision to move back to England. He didn't want to live in this town anymore.
Yep.
He took the 2 baby girls and moved while Rena set herself up to move as well.
Okay.
I couldn't really find out why she didn't move straight away as well. I don't know if it was a bit of a he just went, I'm getting out of here, bye. And then she was like, oh, okay, hang on, let me come. But 3 months later, she moved over and joined them as well. And she also brought...
I thought that might have been a split. I thought that might have been a way to get out.
No. She brought Issa McNeil and Anne McFall, the 2 kind of nanny and kind of boarder/nanny, with her back to England as well. Both these girls came from very poor backgrounds and hoped England would be a better place for them to find jobs and make a start on new lives. They all, so Fred, Rena, Issa, Anne, and the 2 baby girls all moved into a caravan together.
Oh, wow. How cramped.
And Fred found work as a lorry driver for a local abattoir, which I just feel like the only time I hear about people working at abattoirs are these
got a bad
stories.
rap
It's obviously
from all of
not
these
like there are obviously people who aren't murderers
I
that
know,
live in
you
abattoirs,
think about
but
Catherine
so
Knight
many of
and
these. And Rena got a job at a local cafe. Fred did not stop his violent outbursts, and he also started turning on Issa in particular, as well as Rena at home.
And that was the nanny.
Issa was the nanny. So he kind of, any female who was kind of living with him and he saw as under his reign and he could be violent and angry towards, and he would blow up really quickly and really easily and be very violent.
Yeah, okay.
The 3 women together hatched a plan to escape Fred.
Oh,
they
amazing.
had enough and they didn't want to be part of this anymore. Rena actually called in an old boyfriend of hers to help get them out while Fred was at work one day.
Feathers McGraw.
I think it was Feathers McGraw. Exactly.
I'm not going to explain anything else about that.
If you guys haven't listened to all the other episodes,
Where Feathers McGraw comes
to be fair,
one of the greatest criminals of all time.
to be fair, you never really had much context of bringing him up in the
No, I know.
episodes
Yeah, it's
either.
never come up in a natural way.
So they made a prearranged time to have him come in, not Feathers, this man, come in and help them kind of pack up and leave while Fred was at work.
Do you look like a penguin?
I'm not sure. I didn't look up photos, but if you want to afterwards, we can.
It's a chicken, not a penguin.
It was a chicken. He was meant to look. No, he was a penguin. He was meant to look like a chicken. Oh, he got me again.
Got me again.
At the prearranged time, Fred unexpectedly came home and found them leaving. He was never home at this time, and both Rena and Issa noted that Anne didn't seem that surprised and she was very calm at Fred's arrival.
Okay.
She stayed calm while Fred was obviously blowing up and tried to placate him. She said she would stay with him and the children. If Fred was saying, you're not taking my children anywhere, Anne was kind of saying, it's okay, like, I'll keep him calm. You guys go. We'll work this out later. So Rena and Issa left. They went back to Glasgow and left the 2 little girls with their violent and abusive father and this young boarder/nanny, Anne McFall. It wasn't until the women were back in Scotland it was revealed what had gone on. Anne and Fred had been having an affair. Anne told her, that's why she wasn't surprised when he came home, because she'd actually tipped him off, wanting them to go so they couldn't take the children and she could stay with him.
Oh, my God.
Anne told her friends and family via letters that she had become infatuated with Fred and believed that living in England with him would set her up for a good life, and she was trying to encourage him to divorce Rena and marry her.
Wow.
Over the coming couple of years, Rena was coming back and forth to see her children and try to take them back into her care while also trying to remain kind of safe from Fred as well.
Sure. She was terrified of him.
Fred was placing them in the care of social services on and off. So that's when she would come back. I'm going to say, well, if they're in social services care, I'm their mother, I'll take them back. But they continued, I haven't gone into this here, but Rena and Fred continued an on and off, very toxic, very tumultuous relationship over this time as well, whether it was, manipulation about being with the children, whether it was, parts of jealousy of not wanting Anne to be with him or just wanting to keep the family together. But they were
So
on and
Anne
off for a little while.
stayed?
Anne
And
stayed.
and Rena came back and
Yes,
wow.
Yeah. In 1967, Anne fell pregnant with Fred's baby, but it seemed he was none too pleased about this. By the time she was almost full term, when she was 8 months pregnant, Anne left the home one day and Fred never saw her again.
Wow.
Over the next 18 months, Fred spiralled downwards, which is a pretty low from where he'd already been.
Yeah.
He was arrested multiple times for thefts. He lost his job as a driver. He put his kids back in the care of social services. But Fred's luck was about to change. After being a single dad, kind of in and out of social service care, for about 18 months, he set his sights on a woman named Rosemary Letts. Or a girl, I should say. She was 15.
15.
Fred at this time was 27.
Oh, my God.
They met waiting for a bus. Rose initially said she was repulsed by Fred. He was dirty, unkempt and creepy. But Fred didn't let up. He showered her with attention and adoration, and this soon became quite flattering to the young Rosemary Letts.
So stayed in touch after meeting at a bus
They
stop
took
somehow?
the same bus every day on the same route.
Oh, okay,
Yep,
right,
so
right.
met her at the bus stop this first day, became infatuated with her, kept going back to the same bus stop, and they were getting the same bus.
This is called a meat fowl.
A meat fowl, that's good. I like
yeah,
that.
I like that.
Fowl like chicken, like
Like chicken,
F-O-W-L,
chicken.
like Feathers
Feathers
McGraw.
Tricked you again. It's a penguin. Come on, got me again, Feathers.
He would like he found out where she worked and would go to the cafe and bring her gifts and flowers and was really trying to woo her. And it worked. The two started a relationship within weeks.
After being repulsed by someone, that is such a wild turnaround there.
Isn't it? Oh, sorry, I've missed a little paragraph here. Fred found out that Rose hadn't ever had a boyfriend but was quite promiscuous, and he really liked this.
He liked that Rose was promiscuous.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
He also very much played up the sob story about being the single father to two little girls having been abandoned by their mother.
Also, like, you might not know this information, but
I know everything, Sammy. You know that about me.
If Rena has left of her own volition and everything, there was no, obviously, because she was scared of him, there was no like court thing where it was like, you have custody, blah, 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 because
No, there was no
they
court
never
thing.
let the guy usually have the kids. Is that the...
I mean, I know that to be a generalisation, but typically true these days. However, it wasn't so much so then.
Yeah, okay.
But that aside, that wasn't the case here because remember I said they were like in kind of an on again, off again relationship. Like she wasn't saying I'm terrified you and I'm out for good. I want the kids back.
Yeah.
I don't know the details about if she ever tried to fight for custody or anything like that in these early days, or if she was trying to get them back together, or she was just trying to argue with him for custody.
Sure, okay, right.
But no, it wasn't that they were, there were any court orders. They weren't legally separated or anything.
Yep.
This sob story and the adoration and wooing and pursuing worked. The two started a relationship, and within weeks, Rose quit her job at the bakery to become a full-time carer for Fred's daughters. She noted they seemed neglected and she wanted to care for them. Fred would provide her with sufficient money to send to her family every Friday, so they didn't know she'd quit her job.
Oh, okay. And she was already doing that. She was already sending money to her family and...
bringing money home.
Bringing money home, yeah.
So,
okay,
she'd get her paycheck every Friday. It was Fred giving her. So she'd go to work, in inverted commas, go and look after.
And bakers famously aren't very good at counting because of the baker's dozen.
Because is a baker's dozen not a dozen?
It's 13.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think the baker always wanted to have one for themselves.
The old 12 for you, one for me trick.
Let me actually check that because I am
but
not
my
100%
first job-
sure that I'm not sure if I made that up.
My very first job was at Baker's Delight, and I didn't
Really?
know that. Maybe the delight is that 13th roll.
Yeah, a baker's dozen, and I'm just looked up images, lovely bread I'm seeing right now. A baker's dozen is 13 items, one more than a standard dozen, 12. The term originated from medieval English law that penalised bakers for selling underweight loaves of bread. To avoid penalties, bakers would add an extra loaf to every dozen to ensure they met the legal weight requirement.
Oh, you just make the rolls bigger.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But so they're not very good. That was my joke. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
It was good.
Thank you.
It was a good joke. Edit it here and I'll go like this. Of course, because of 13.
13.
You're very good. You're very good. All right, a bit of background on Rosemary Pauline West. She was born in rural England in 1953 to parents Bill and Daisy Letts. Daisy again.
Isn't
that funny?
Funny.
Anyway, she was described as, quote, remarkably unintelligent.
Oh, dim.
Her brother said she was, quote, thick as two planks.
You don't want to hear that from your brother.
I kind of love these kind
of
old English
so brutal.
terms.
Yeah.
She was also described as very lazy and belligerent. She, too, like Fred, had a very stunted upbringing, both academically, socially. I've written both and then I've listed three things: academically, socially, and intellectually.
You're bloody good as a counter as a bloody baker.
I'm a gooder as counter as. Real good at real well English and things.
Nice.
Thanks. I struggled to actually think of something that was poor English. In hindsight, when people found out she was with Fred, people said that they weren't surprised that she ended up with an older man. She always wanted to feel grown up and like she could make it in the world without her parents and the people who were calling her lazy and as thick as two planks.
Yeah. Not a loving family if they're calling her that, but also like the wildness of her only being 15 years old. I didn't know that.
15 and he was 27.
Yeah.
And the thing, age differences feel different at different stages of life.
Yeah,
27 is and 15. Anyway, after they had dated for a few months, Rose introduced Fred to her family. And they were, and I want you to guess the next word I've used.
Disgusted.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that actually good? Yeah.
They forbade her from dating Fred and said they would report him to social services if they ever saw him again.
Yeah.
But she defied her parents' wishes. Well, what do you not say to a teenage girl? Don't do that. They're gonna do it even harder.
Yeah. Do it. We love him. She said that reverse psychology.
Exactly. I thought you were saying that to me. I was like, no, don't do it. It's a bad story. No. I was reverse psychology you or something. So she defied their wishes and her parents did report him. Who
do you report him to?
Social services. He was 27 and she was 15. She was underage.
Oh, okay. Right.
Underage relationship. And they also reported rumours they'd heard or fears they had that she was engaging in sex work.
Right.
Given she was a minor, she was taken into a home for troubled teenagers, only allowed home to her parents on weekends, and when she was home, she almost always went out and visited Fred.
Sure.
As soon as she turned 16, she left the state-run home because she was now allowed to do so.
So 16, okay,
16,
right.
And straight into Fred's flat. In another sign that this guy was an absolute catch, Fred was actually in prison at the time of her 16th birthday and her release from the girls' home. He was serving 30 days for theft. So when he got out, he went and picked up Charmaine and Anne-Marie, who had been placed in social services while he was in prison, and took the baby girls home to his new girlfriend, Rose.
Wow.
In one last-ditch attempt to get his daughter away from Fred, Bill Letts had her examined by a police surgeon, and it was discovered she was pregnant.
Oh, no.
She was again placed into care, but after a month, it was agreed that she could leave under the strict understanding she would terminate the pregnancy and return to her family.
Who made that decision?
I don't really understand how you can get somebody examined without then. Maybe it was something to do with like between 16 and 18.
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
at 16 you are legally allowed to kind of go elsewhere, but until 18 you're still under the legal guardianship of your parents perhaps.
And different autonomy for that sort of that's interesting. Okay.
So she agreed that she would terminate the pregnancy and return her to her family. She did neither. Her defiance this time resulted in her father forbidding her from ever stepping foot back into the family home.
Wow.
He had tried really hard to protect her, to help her. She had defied him so severely, he said, in this case, we never want to see you again. You've made your choice.
That's enormous.
Isn't it?
Did you know what their family was like in terms of like, you know, even socioeconomic? Like were they similar to Fred?
Yes.
They were.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I believe, I didn't go heaps into either of their upbringings because there's so freaking much to go.
Oh, it's massive. This story is massive. Yeah.
But they both were low kind of intellectual, like low IQ, low socioeconomic. I think that Fred was kind of lower socioeconomic. His family was lower socioeconomic, but
it's hard because it's just like, you know, if they were this poor family that were like struggling as it was, and then they're trying to get their daughter away and they're trying to do all this. To make that decision would be enormous.
Yeah, it seems they were a lot kind of closer and more supportive family than Fred's was. If I'm wrong on that, I do apologise. I didn't go deep into her background upbringing.
There's a documentary on this on Netflix, isn't there? Yeah.
There is.
Just watch that. But don't
listen to
I'm
this.
saying that. I'm saying listen to that, but also like there are very descriptive details in that.
Well, that's why I've put that at the end, Sam.
Okay. Well, I didn't even know that.
So they listen to this whole thing and they love it and they're really connected and they love us and they tell all their friends and family members to listen to this podcast. And then at the end, I'm like, if you want to know more, guess what?
Yeah.
Go listen to this thing.
Also, if you want to know more, it is such
you don't want to know more.
Yeah.
But again, that's why you should listen to this. Okay. As they are if they're hearing this. Love you guys. Okay. So here we have a 28-year-old Fred, a 16-year-old Rose, a 6-year-old Charmaine, and 5-year-old Anne-Marie, and another baby on the way. Lipping
where?
Living.
Oh.
Happily ever after.
That's not true.
Nat.
Hey, nice one.
Isn't that fun to bring back? I'm going to bring back not jokes, I've decided.
Nat.
This is a happy story. Nat. In October 1970, Rose gave birth to another baby girl named Heather. Another is in her first, but they've got Charmaine and Anne-Marie as well. Named Heather.
Brings it up to a baker's 3.
Yeah. 2 months later, so 2 months after baby Heather.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. I think a baker's 2 if we were going on.
Okay.
I liked it though. 2 months after Heather was born, Fred was imprisoned for 6.5 months for theft.
So he was known.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And there were many incidences of a lot of petty theft.
Yeah.
It was kind of his go-to violence, fights and things.
That's the thing. You don't always to uncover this later, you don't link those.
Oh, there was a lot that was not linked to my love.
Yeah.
So Rose was left looking after all 3 girls on her own as a teenager. Charmaine and Anne-Marie were told to refer to Rose as their mother.
Okay.
Rose didn't like being in charge of these 3 2 little girls and 1 baby on her own. The older girls were frequently subjected to criticism, beatings, and other forms of punishment under Rose's care.
Wow.
As soon as she had her own biological baby, Heather, she just had an absolute disdain for these 2 other girls.
So loved Heather, but okay.
Anne-Marie was generally submissive and prone to display more emotion. So she was the one that was younger. She would get upset and kind of, say, sorry, what do you want me to do? While Charmaine, the eldest, was very stoic. She rarely cried and she yelled back, which infuriated Rose more. She would talk to Anne-Marie of her belief that her mummy will come and save me. and often antagonised Rose when Rose was yelling at her and berating her.
So
she would
sad.
say things like, "My real mummy wouldn't swear or shout at us," when Rose was doing just that. A friend of Charmaine's recalled going to the house one day, unannounced, walking in to find Charmaine naked, standing on a chair, with a gag in her mouth and her hands bound with a leather strap, as Rose stood next to her with a wooden spoon. Charmaine stood silent and uncrying. That's just one example of
the
something
torture
that
and
was seen.
abuse. Yeah.
In June 1971, just weeks before Fred's release from prison, Rose took the girls to go and visit him, and this was the last time Fred would see his firstborn daughter, Charmaine. Not his biological daughter, but his first daughter. Before his release on June 24, Charmaine did, in fact, finally get taken back by her mother, Rena.
I was just about to ask if Rena kept coming back.
Yes, Serena kept coming back.
Yeah.
And while Fred was in prison, Rose said she's gone with Rena. Rose, Fred, nor her school friends or any neighbours ever saw Charmaine again.
Wow.
The same friend who saw her on the chair that day went around to see her friend Charmaine and was told by Rose, quote, "She's gone to live with her mother and bloody good riddance." This is an 8-year-old girl she's talking about.
Awful.
When her little sister Anna Marie asked why Rena hadn't taken her as well, she was told by Rose, "She wouldn't want you. You're the wrong colour." Now, Charmaine was the one who was actually half Pakistani, but she was insinuating you're a different colour to your sister, so she's chosen your sister.
Right, okay.
So, life went on now as a family of 4 upon Fred's release from prison. In January 1972, Fred and Rose married. He was actually still legally married to Rena, but he just lied on the marriage certificate.
Sure, of course he did.
Which, is something I guess you can do.
Yeah.
It's not. A few months later, Rose fell pregnant again. The family moved to what would become their more permanent, bigger home at 25 Cromwell Street, Gloucester. Might be, unfortunately, an address that is etched in infamy.
Yeah.
They initially rented this house before going on to buy it from the council for £7,000.
Oh, wow.
It was, I suppose what we would call here, or what we would call now, commission housing.
Okay.
And it was an agreement to facilitate the sale of the house. They bought it from council, but they agreed to turn the upper 2 floors. It was a 3-story home. Like a very tall, skinny, those ones you see in a tall, skinny home. The top 2 stories were turned into bed sits, so they could house lodgers and boarders, and that would supplement the household income.
That money would go...
I don't really understand how it works.
I won't even ask about it.
Fred bought the home, but to facilitate the sale, agreed to...
There was some sort of payment, yeah.
So they would have boarders and lodgers living upstairs while the family lived downstairs with access through the back garden. In June 1972, Rose gave birth to another baby girl named May June. It's spelt M-A-E, but yes, her name is May June.
Okay. Yeah. June, July.
Yep.
It was a sister.
It's just a good name, isn't it? It's just a good
name. Solid name.
It's just a good name. It's giving Northwest.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Isn't it? Almost immediately after giving birth, Rose returned to sex work to make money on Fred's insistence, or not so much insistence, but encouragement.
Right.
And she regularly engaged in casual sex with male and female lodgers they had living at 25 Cromwell Street. Not always for money, but just for her benefit.
Okay, right.
She was a very sexual person. Fred would also bring home people he encountered at work, either to pay Rose for sex or just to engage in sex.
Right.
Fred often bragged that it didn't matter how many people Rose slept with, he was the only one that could truly satisfy her.
Lovely.
Sure, babe. That's what they all say. Rose would beat and suffocate her sexual partners. She was very into
like a dominatrix.
Yeah,
okay.
BDSM.
Yeah.
The brutality and violence in her sexual encounters became worse and more violent over time.
Right.
Fred would often join in, and many of the people they slept with would describe the encounters as violent, with both Fred and Rose enjoying severe dominance.
Right.
They amassed a huge amount of bondage equipment. I've written the word equipment because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like I almost laughed at myself how dorky that is, writing equipment.
I guess
bondage,
it is equipment though.
Material
bondage
maybe.
material, bondage, toys. Maybe.
Restraining devices and explicit magazines and photographs that they would actually plaster around the house.
Oh, right. Okay.
I mean, they had little girls as well.
Yeah.
The room Rose would conduct her sex work out of contained peepholes for Fred to watch, even when he wasn't involved, and they had a baby monitor in the room for him to listen in from other parts of the house. Rose had the only key to this room and kept it on a necklace she wore at all times. Rose also controlled the family's finances. Fred would give her his pay packet and she would decide where the money was spent, and it was often on home improvements. There was one incident in 1973 that almost or certainly could have landed Fred and Rose West in prison, probably for a very long time. You know, hindsight, sliding doors, we can look at that. However, this is what happened. A 17-year-old Caroline Owens, who was working for them again as a nanny, casually on and off, they had met her while she was hitchhiking. And while she was in the house nannying, Fred made constant sexual advances to her. And after a few months of working with them, she decided she no longer enjoyed being there and decided to leave. She did so, and under the guise of apologising to her, they lured her to meet with them. They said, let us just catch up and apologise for making you feel uncomfortable. They lured her into their car, took her home. They abducted, assaulted and raped her repeatedly. She was able to escape the following day after pretending to agree to return to work as their nanny. So they tortured her all night and said, will you come back and work with us? She said yes.
To get away.
Oh,
God.
She escaped the house when they left her alone to do the vacuuming. She reported the horrific abuse and Fred and Rose were charged. But when it came to trial, a 17-year-old Caroline was too traumatised to relive the events, and face them in court. The couple was fined £50 each and allowed to walk free.
£50 each. Oh, that's terrifying.
All the sexual charges were dropped because they were witness testimony only. I think that she had physical bruises, so that they were kind of charged with low-level physicality and fined. And so life went on in the West household. So that was 1973. By 1983, Rose had given birth to 8 children.
Sorry, what? What year is this?
1983. So in 10 years.
So 10 years. Okay, right. Okay, yep.
So
I thought the 1 year. I was like, what?
Like, oh, no, your maths is not good, G. But
Okay,
octopus.
Yeah.
That's 8 legs, not 8 babies.
Well, just some sort of reference to octopus. I wanted to bring up an octopus in this episode.
You've been sitting there with a weird look on your face. You've been trying to bring up an octopus.
I'm going to bring up the octopus.
You heard the word 8 and went,
octopus!
Is it?
Buzzing.
Time.
I've got a buzzer. Octopus! Nice.
I really like the idea that maybe octopi can have 8 babies in a year and you've unwittingly known that. Please call in like right now. We'll wait.
I know.
And tell us what a baker's dozen octopus babies number is. Oh, Jesus. All right. So by 1983, Rose West had given birth to 8 children, at least 3 of whom were conceived by her clients.
Oh,
not
wow.
Fred.
Okay.
Fred willingly accepted all of the children as his own, telling those with different skin tones that his great-grandmother had been black. When each of the West children reached the age of 7, they were assigned numerous daily chores to perform in the house. They were very rarely allowed to socialise with anyone outside the home or even socialise outside unless either of their parents were present. They had to follow strict guidelines imposed by their parents, with severe punishment, which was almost always physical, being the penalty for not conforming, not following the household rules. We're talking about from 7 years old.
Wow.
The children really feared this, not these threats of violence, but the acts of violence that would happen as well from their parents. And the vast majority of the violence was inflicted by Rose, occasionally by Fred. The violence was sometimes completely irrational. It was sometimes indiscreet, and it was often reported it was just inflicted for Rose's gratification. It wasn't so much punishment as her wanting to do it.
Wow.
However, she always took great care to not mark the children's faces or hands, which could, of course, be seen no matter what they were wearing.
That's so crazy.
Isn't it disgusting? Yeah. It's so... I'm sorry, I just burped. I don't know if you could hear it.
That was fun. I could hear it.
Could you?
Yep.
Can you cut that out?
No, it's fun. That was fun.
I did burp with my mouth closed so it would be quiet, but then I decided to speak. I'm so sorry. That's so gross.
She spoke over her burp.
I'm so sorry. I even interrupt myself if that makes you feel better. It's not just you I interrupt. Oh my God, that's so horrible. I'm so sorry. Okay. 2 of the West children, Heather, so that Heather was the eldest to Fred and Rose biologically, and the eldest boy, Stephen, both ran away from home at one point, but each returned after sleeping rough for several weeks. They were both badly beaten upon their return.
Oh, God.
Between 1972 and 1992.
1992?
Yep. So over the 20 years essentially from when Rose was involved in Fred's life, the West children were admitted to emergency 31 times.
Oh, my God.
How many of these 31 would you think were reported to social services?
Well, I would say all of them should be.
Guess again.
30 of them were.
None. Not a single incident.
That's disgusting.
Of a child from this household presenting to accident and emergency was ever reported to social services. They were all described by the parents as accidents. You know, they'd fallen off their monkey bars, they'd tripped over their sister's foot, whatever it may be. Not one was ever reported to social services.
The monkey bars a thing that's is that everywhere? Monkey bars?
Are monkey bars everywhere?
Yeah.
Can you see any monkey bars in the room right now?
No. Are monkey bars
Australian,
or is it an Australian thing, or are they everywhere?
I don't know. I mean,
because
they
when you
are
said
everywhere.
monkey bars, I was like, is that
But
everywhere?
do you mean is the term Australian?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Monkey bars. Let me have a look up this right now. Just monkey bars.
I don't think so. I think that's just what they're called.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know if monkey bars are everywhere or if they're just kind of an
What do
Australian
you think it would
thing.
be called? Like a horizontal ladder?
Horizontal
is
ladder.
what it is, to be
It's a horizontal ladder. That's exactly what it is. So it's a horizontal ladder.
So
that
if
kids
you don't
play
know
with.
what we're talking about,
It's on a
monkey bars
playground.
are. I think they're called monkey bars.
Okay, great. Please write in. I'd love to know.
It is funny if they're not, and I
Yeah.
see monkey bars and people are like, what? Even Fred occasionally became the recipient of his wife's violence. On one occasion in 1974, Rose chased after Fred with a carving knife in her hand. Fred was unable to slam shut the door of the room. He was able to slam shut the door of the room in which he'd run, and Rose lunged at him with the knife, but he closed the door just in time and the knife embedded itself in the door.
Oh, my God.
3 of Rose's fingers slid down the blade, almost severing them from her hand. She calmly wrapped her hand in a tea towel and said, "Look what you've done, fella. You got to take me to the hospital now."
Oh, my God.
Like if he had not slammed the door, she would have literally plunged the knife into him. That is just one example that I've just picked out. There was also a lot of sexual abuse at 25 Cromwell Street involving the West children. I've decided not to say any more than that. This story is horrific enough, and I don't feel there's anything to be gained by talking in detail about any of these horrific crimes. In 1987, Heather, who was just months shy of her 17th birthday, so again the first biological daughter to Fred and Rose together,
Yep.
left the home. As stated, she'd run away before. She was known by her classmates and teachers as a serious, polite, quiet and responsible student, and she did a lot of the caring for her younger siblings at home. She spoke a little bit to school staff about her difficulties about having difficulties at home, but she never went into any detail. When she just stopped turning up to school just before her 17th birthday, friends and school staff were concerned, but calls to the home uncovered that she had run away after a big fight with her parents. And at age 16, she could do so. She had run away before, and this time she just didn't come home.
I think in a lot of cases as well, and I don't know if this is a common thing, but, kids who are abused, kids who face a lot of violence in the home often wouldn't talk about that sort of stuff.
Oh, permeates this entire story.
They kind of feel a lot of shame as well. I'm sure there's a lot of shame attached. Yeah.
Her parents did not file a missing persons report. Over the coming years, when the kids played up, the family would joke, "If you don't behave, you're going to end up under the patio like your sister." 5 years after Heather ran away, in 1992, one of the younger West children, who was aged 13, she was named by media as Louise, but because she was underage, this was a pseudonym, so we don't actually know what her name was, but we'll call her Louise. She was 13, and she told a friend one day she was being sexually abused at home. This friend told her that she should tell some teachers.
Wow.
She did, and the school notified social services and police, who interviewed Louise without her parents' knowledge, and she confirmed and reiterated the allegations. Police opened a formal investigation. Police searched the West household on the pretext of searching for stolen property. So they said...
That's smart. Yeah.
Especially when he was so known for theft,
of course, right? Yeah.
In the house, they found numerous objects of sexual paraphernalia, including 99 pornographic videos of both homemade and commercial nature.
Oh, my God.
The children were removed from the home, and both parents were arrested on child cruelty charges. The children gave statements of years of physical and sexual abuse, and each of their stories were consistent.
Yeah.
While these crimes were being uninvestigated, something else came up. One of the children was unaccounted for. Police discovered that Heather running away in 1987 was never reported to them. Police found this odd, to say the least. The children all told police that Heather had gone away to work at a camp. Not that she'd run away, as the school and other adults around the neighbourhood who had acquired had been told. When Fred and Rose were asked about Heather's departure from the home, their stories were inconsistent, vague, and sometimes contradictory. Police checked employment records, benefit records, passport activities, school and medical records, and found no trace of Heather at all after 1987. There was not a single sign she was alive. While they were looking into this, the cases against both parents on the cruelty charges fell apart because the kids did not want to testify in court.
Oh, my God.
Anna Marie, who was the eldest of the children, because Charmaine was no longer living with them, she formally withdrew her complaints and expressed a desire to return home, noting the misery of her younger siblings and the fear of Rose's retaliation.
Oh, my God.
The younger children, who were under 16, remained in foster care, but Fred and Rose were allowed to return to 25 Cromwell Street, as were their children who were over 16. The younger children were also allowed supervised visits at the house. But police were not going to let the mystery of Heather's whereabouts go unsolved. In February 1994, 2 years after authorities first became aware of Fred and Rose abusing their children thanks to Louise's report, police got a warrant to search 25 Cromwell Street under the suspicion of the death of Heather West.
When you think about it as well, like so much time has passed since he was committing thefts and, you know, like there was so much that had happened in that time.
It's a lot of this story is a lot argued about them very much falling through the cracks. Very much.
Yeah.
This was a worrying couple for many, many, many reasons. And yeah, they really did fall through the cracks. Due to the children's reports of the family, in inverted commas, joke that Heather was under the patio, this is where police first brought in ground.
Ground.
I know
people.
I know all about
Moles.
forklifts and stuff. But
Yeah.
some kind of ground
Excavation
penetrating.
people.
Well, not even quite. Some
Right.
kind of machinery that because the patio was concrete. So they kind of did something, and they found that there was disturbed soil under the concrete patio. The patio had been laid by Fred in 1987. Do you remember what year Heather ran away?
1986?
1987.
Oh, okay, same year.
When asked what they might find under the patio if they were to excavate, Fred confessed to killing Heather in an act of manslaughter. He said during a fight they'd had, he had gone into a fit of rage and strangled and accidentally killed his daughter.
How's that man's? Oh, because accidental.
Oh, yes.
Right.
He had cut up her body with a large knife and stored her remains in a dustbin as he waited for an opportunity to dig her grave. This is what he told police.
Right.
He was insistent Rose had no idea that it had happened at all. When it happened, he said she was preoccupied with a client upstairs. He told Rose she had run away, which she had always believed. Rose backed up this story with police, saying she had given Heather money and actually would receive phone calls from Heather over the years, only now discovering that these had been faked by Fred to keep up the lie. On February 26, 1994, police excavated and ripped up the patio and excavated the garden and found the dismembered remains of 16-year-old Heather West. Fred had told them exactly where to look. He actually accompanied them to the house and pointed out the exact location of his daughter's body.
Wow. Was he in custody at this point?
Yes. So
Yeah,
he had,
okay.
It was February 25 that they had gone to the house with the warrant
Yep.
and said, what might we, where's Heather? What might be find if we looked under
Yeah.
that patio? And
Is that
he
an
said,
exact
okay.
phrase that they used?
Yep. What might we
What
find?
might we find?
Exactly.
Yeah, we can do it.
So then, yes, he was brought into custody. He said, yeah, look, this happened. I strangled her. I buried her in the back garden. No one else in the family knew about it. He said, I'll take you to the house and I'll show you exactly where her body will be found.
Wow.
There were signs that she had been tortured prior to her death, and multiple finger bones were missing, which were never recovered. I will say now, because I won't bring it up again later, that all of the bodies, unless I think there is one that I'll bring up later, one that wasn't, but otherwise all of the bodies, sorry, spoiler alert, had been, there were signs that they had been badly tortured and abused before death. Fred was formally charged with his daughter's murder that evening. But this was just the beginning. Police had no idea what they were about to uncover beyond that. While exhuming Heather's body, they realised they had found 3 thigh bones. Now, I'm not sure if you studied science at all, but
Yes,
humans have 2 thigh bones.
Yes. Or a baker's 3.
A baker's 2.
Baker's 2. Fuck. I haven't got it yet. I'll get it one day.
You'll get it. They asked Fred why they may have found 3 thigh bones, to which he immediately said there were 2 further sets of human remains in his garden. He agreed to return to 25 Cromwell Street to reveal the locations of both of those graves. He said one was a girl named Shirley Robertson, a former tenant who had been heavily pregnant with his child at the time of her murder in 1978.
Oh, my God.
The other victim he described as being, quote, Shirley's mate, which
Didn't even know her
out,
name.
Yeah. But he either would not or could not elaborate as to her identity beyond that. Both sets of remains were discovered on the 28th of February, and Fred was charged with both of those murders as well 2 days later. Having discovered 3 sets of human remains in the garden, a decision was made to thoroughly search the entire property.
Mm-hmm.
Rose was placed in a safe house in a nearby town. Police continued to question Fred for up to 16 hours a day, with questioning turning to the truth about the first of his daughters to have gone missing from the home. Remember his stepdaughter Charmaine?
Yes.
Who was eventually taken by her mother Rena and never seen again?
Yeah.
Police went, seeing you said one daughter went missing and you killed her, anything you want to tell us about Charmaine? After days of intense questioning, on March 4, Fred authorised his solicitor to pass police a note he had written. It read in his handwriting, I, Frederick West, authorise my solicitor, Howard Ogden, to advise Superintendent Bennett that I wish to admit to a further, approx, close bracket, 9 killings.
9?
Expressly, Charmaine, Rena, Linda Goff, who we have not heard of yet, and, this is all a quote, and others to be identified.
Oh, my God.
F. West. Fred calmly explained there were a further 5 bodies buried in his cellar and a 6th body beneath the ground floor bathroom.
Wow.
Most of these victims, Fred claimed, had been hitchhikers or girls who had been lodging with them, who he had murdered in the 1970s after picking them up at bus stops.
Right.
Initially, Fred claimed these victims had been killed when they had threatened to inform Rose of his infidelity and that he had transported their bodies to Cromwell Street to abuse, dismember and then bury in shallow graves. So he said he abducted them, killed them elsewhere and then brought them to 25 Cromwell Street, known forever as the House of Horrors. Now, the dismemberment, Fred claimed, was only to make it easier to bury the remains in shallow graves, and he, again, agreed to return with police to Cromwell Street to indicate precisely where he had buried each victim.
Right.
Between March 5 and March 8, police found 6 further bodies of young females at 25 Cromwell Street.
Wow.
Each victim had been extensively mutilated, and each body bore evidence of having been subjected to extreme abuse prior to their deaths.
My God.
Each set of remains was missing numerous bones, particularly finger bones. When questioned, Fred refused to divulge the whereabouts of the bones missing from each of the set of remains or the reason for their absence. It's been speculated he kept them somewhere as trophies, but it's not known where they went.
So it's kind of he's kind of bragging about it in a way and going, this is what I did, this is what I did, but he's not giving away everything.
In the documentary, which I refuse to tell you about until the end of this episode,
I can't wait to hear about it.
There is actually vision of him with police walking through the backyard. It doesn't feel like bragging. I'm not a psychologist. I'm certainly not a criminal psychologist. It doesn't feel to me like bragging.
Yep.
It is he's kind of stone cold. No, not even stone cold. He's emotionless.
Right.
It feels a bit like, well, I'm found out now. I've got nothing left. I've got nothing to lose in telling them. It's just, oh, yep, that's where you'll find part of Charmaine. Yep, that's where you'll find that.
But I mean, there is something to lose if he's not giving away everything. Like he's not talking about everything. He's not like, oh, the fingers are there. Like he's
correct.
not.
Yep, correct.
So it feels like he is holding something back.
Yes,
which is,
I think more what I'm probably arguing is the term bragging. He's not going,
okay. Right.
You know what? Oh my God, you think I only killed Heather?
Yeah,
I actually killed heaps more than that.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not that. It's more, and he doesn't give it up really willingly. It reminds me a little bit of Dennis Nielsen.
Oh, yeah.
Where,
Dennis Nielsen, yep.
Yeah, where police questioned him and he was like, Yeah, there was another one actually. Yeah, actually, no, I do remember there's another one. It felt a bit more like that.
Yes, okay.
But
because he was like, Dennis Nielsen just went, look in the in my living room in the teacups and look in the and it was like, oh my God, like teapot or whatever it was,
whereas
or something.
Fred West remembered where all the bodies were.
Yes.
But didn't remember or didn't give up a lot of information about why or how.
That's really interesting.
He was holding back details, but just said, "Yep, there's a body here. Yep, there's a body there. That's girl I picked up at this bus stop." Like, just not giving a lot of detail, but taking
confessing
them
to everything.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Yes. Fred continued to insist throughout all of the discoveries that his wife Rose had no knowledge of any of it, and perhaps this is why he was kind of just saying, yes, don't look into any more. I'll tell you they're here. Police, however, suspected otherwise.
Yeah, because if you're living in the house with someone that's dismembering bodies, that would take time.
Also, remember Heather ran away.
Yeah.
And she just kind of didn't seem to care.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that actually Fred had killed her. Like, really? Would a mother just never?
Yeah.
There's also all those reports, even though the charges never went to court, all of the children had reported serious abuse by both Fred and Rose.
And the threat against Rena from from her as well, just saying, like she did not want her there.
Yep. Rose West was arrested on the 20th of April, so it's still 1994. So it was the 25th of February that Fred was first arrested. On the 20th of April, Rose was arrested initially on offences relating to physical and sexual assault of 2 children in the mid-1970s. So that's what they had enough evidence to
just trying to get her on anything. Yeah.
The following day, she was refused bail and she was transferred to a prison in the maximum security wing. Here, she was questioned more closely about all of the murders that Fred had confessed to. On April 25, she was formally charged with 1 murder, and I will go into each of the victims later. Bear with me. Trust me.
Okay, I'll trust you.
I was up until 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, you messaged me when you're going to bed.
And I started work at 4:30 a.m.
And you don't always say goodnight to me, but last night you did message me. Night. Imagine every night.
No.
No. And I just ignore it. Silence. I've muted you.
11:30. I finally finished this story. Aren't you working in 5 hours?
Well, that was the thing, though. When you messaged me, because I don't get up as early as you, and when you messaged me to say, because I'm a night owl, you know that. And it's a catchphrase I work on.
Hang on. Who is a night owl? Who?
Something like that. I'm working on. But yeah, you messaged me very late last night
because I was like, we can record this episode tomorrow. I finished it
because you've been sick, and I was like, oh my God, why are you still up? Because you have to be at work at 4:30 a.m.
Don't you start work at 5:30? And I said, no, this week I start at 4:30.
Yeah. And so you finished this very late last night because you've been sick for the last couple of weeks.
I've been so sick.
And I recorded an episode with Joel Creasy last week as a fill-in for this, Joel Christie. And so you're coming back to record this episode. So you stayed up so late last night to do this. So you just got hooked and really fell into this last night.
Yes, I needed to finish it.
Yeah.
I'd been working on it in little dribs and drabs because it's such a big story and it's so intense. And then I was like, right, I'm recording this tomorrow. I need to get this thing finished because I need to get this out of my life.
Yeah.
I need to not be thinking about this heinous couple every day. I need to get this out.
Dribs and drabs, FYI, are what bakers call dough that they throw away.
Dough.
Dough.
Oh, is that why Homer says that?
Homer Simpson.
So about the bakers does it?
Simpson says that.
Right, I never knew that.
Yep.
I'm learning a lot today.
Yep.
What's your favourite treat from Baker's Delight?
Oh God, I would love the Hawaiian pizza kind of scroll thing. Is it a scroll?
Like the roll.
The roll,
like the
like
white
a pizza.
bread roll, like cheese and bacon roll.
Yeah, cheese and bacon roll. What's your favourite?
Vegemite scroll, obviously. Cheesymite scroll. Oh my God, we're so Aussie right now for our overseas listeners. There is a white bread roll that has cheese and Vegemite.
It's so good.
Baked into it. And it is yum.
Yeah. Did you get lots of staff discounts, or were you like
No,
free?
No, baby doll.
You got the dribs and drabs. That's what they call them.
Oh my God, someone never worked at Baker's Delight. Oh my God. There was no staff discount, Sammy Peterson. At the end of each day, for health and safety reasons,
Dribs and drabs, like I told you.
You could no longer sell the leftovers the next day. So guess what the staff got to take home?
The dribs and drabs.
Yes, exactly as you said quite a while
the
ago.
dribs and
Yeah,
drabs.
yeah, exactly. I was very popular in my neighbourhood.
Not for that
I was
reason.
working there.
Nice.
All right. By May 6, 1994, Fred and Rose West were jointly charged with 5 counts of murder. Rose simply replied, "I'm innocent," upon hearing each charge. A response that proved to be a theme throughout each of the 46 interviews investigators would hold with Rose prior to her trial.
Wow.
Prior to the trial, 46 police interviews. She just said, "I'm innocent," the whole time. Now, we all know I'm no good at maths, but how is yours?
Not good, you know that.
Police had exhumed 5 bodies, and both Fred and Rose were charged with 5 counts of murder. But remember Fred's note through the solicitor that said he had killed approx 9 people.
So that's not as many as 9. 5 is not as many.
Less. 5 is fewer than 9.
Okay. Well, baby doll, tell me what happened.
After the first 5 charges were laid, Fred ended up openly confessing to killing his first wife, Rena, and his stepdaughter, Charmaine. He also confessed to knowing the location of Anne McFall's remains. Do you remember that name?
Yeah, I do.
It feels like 18 years ago when I first started this. The friend who stayed with Fred when Rena left back to Scotland. Anne McFall stayed, wanted to marry him, and was pregnant with his child when she went missing at 8 months pregnant. Fred ended up confessing to knowing the location of Anne's remains, although he always denied killing her and said he thought that Rena had. Fred agreed to identify each burial location, and the remains of these other females, women and girls, were unearthed between April 10 and June 7.
This kind of reminds me a lot of the Green River Killer that just went back to these locations and just went, oh, there's another one there, there's another one there, there's another one there.
Well, there were the bodies that they exhumed from 25 Cromwell Street, and then there were bodies that were before he lived at 25 Cromwell Street. Eventually, Fred West was formally charged with 12 murders.
12?
And Rose with 10.
Oh, my God.
So, who were these women and girls? This sounds like it is a horrendous sentence to say. But I'm going to go.
The word horrendous.
Yes. I'm going to go through the victims in chronological order.
Okay.
Which is never something that should be said.
No.
Anne McFall is believed to have been Fred's first victim before he ever met Rose. As we've discussed, she was a teenager in a relationship with Fred and pregnant when she apparently decided to leave him one day in May 1967. She was the friend, so 1967.
He's quite young then, isn't he?
He was
No.
in his 20s.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Also remember when this is all happening, so all the charges were laid in 1994.
Yeah. Wow.
So, she was a friend of Fred and Rena's first nanny, Issa. Fred never admitted to Anne's murder, however did know where her remains were, which seems fishy to me. Her remains and those of their unborn baby were found in a field at Kempley, which is near Fred West's home village where he grew up, in the place name I famously can pronounce very easily, Herefordshire.
Herefordshire. I'm just covering all bases.
It was really
here.
good. No, but how you said it sounded like you were just making a noise. But
Herefordshire.
Charmaine West was Fred's stepdaughter, the first of his children. Rose hated Charmaine the whole time she was in the little girl's life. Charmaine was last seen on that final visit to Fred in prison on June 15, 1971. She was killed sometime between that date and Fred's release on June 24. She was killed by Rose alone, who stowed her body in the cellar of their home until Fred was released from prison. When he got home, he buried her body in the yard close to the back door of the flat they lived in.
So we know this because of the timings, that Fred could not have done it, but she had done it and had stowed her until Fred was released, and then obviously confessed to him.
Yeah, so when Fred confessed to, remember he ended up confessing to Charmaine's death.
Yeah.
He said that he had killed her, and we will go into this later. He said he had killed her, and where he had buried her, which was in the back, close to the back door of the flat before 25 Cromwell Street.
Right, okay, sure.
It was in a different house.
So did he go to this place to another house where people were now living and pointing out that there were bodies there?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I haven't written this in here because I thought it was too awful, but I'm going to say it.
Oh, great.
Just because you brought that up. He was insistent that he had not dismembered Charmaine. Her body, though, was found in parts, but this is believed to be from when new owners of the house had done developments to the house.
Okay.
And a new wall and kind of stumpings that had been put in had actually severed her body.
Oh, wow.
Charmaine was 8 years old.
Oh, my God.
Rena, whose name was actually Catherine Costello but went by Rena, was Fred's first wife and Charmaine and Anne-Marie's mother. She was last reported seen alive in August 1971. Remember, it was June 1971 that Charmaine was killed. Rena had been growing extremely anxious about her children's welfare. She'd been provided with Fred's address at Midland Road, which is where they were living at the time, and Rena sought to confront him, likely to discuss or demand custody of her girls. This was the final time Rena was seen alive. She's believed to have been murdered by strangulation. Her dismembered body was found in a field near Fred's first home. She was 26 years old.
Oh, my God.
Linda Goff was the couple's first known murder together. That's Fred and Rose West. She lived in Gloucester and was friendly with a number of lodgers at 25 Cromwell Street. She ended up moving in there herself, leaving a note for her parents saying not to worry about her. She'd found a new flat and she would come home to visit. But when she didn't, her parents tracked down the address and went to see her, to be told at the door by Rose West that Linda had actually moved elsewhere. Linda's mother said Rose was wearing Linda's slippers and cardigan when she answered the door. It's understood Linda's death was the first sexually motivated killing by Fred and Rose West together, sometime in January 1972. Her dismembered body was found under the ground floor bathroom of 25 Cromwell Street. She was 19. Carol Ann Cooper had been staying at a children's home in Gloucester when she disappeared in 1973. She had been given permission by the home to spend the weekend with her grandmother on November 10, but after boarding a bus, she was never seen again. It's understood she was picked up by Fred and Rosemary West, assaulted, tortured and killed. Her remains were found in the cellar of 25 Cromwell Street. She was 15 years old.
Oh my God.
Lucy Partington was also killed in 1973. She was reported missing by her parents after failing to return home after visiting a friend on December 27. It's believed it was that day she was abducted by Fred and Rose, tortured and murdered. Her remains were also found in the cellar. She was 21. Therese Sianganthola was a student hitchhiking from South London to Ireland when she was abducted in April 1974. Fred only knew her as the Dutch girl. She was in fact Swiss. Her remains were also found under the cellar. She was 21. Shirley Hubbard was also killed in 1974. She was a foster child and was abducted from a bus stop on November 15. As she was returning home from work experience, she was reported missing when she didn't meet her boyfriend the following day as had been planned. Her dismembered body was found under the cellar. She was 15 years old. Juanita Mott had been another lodger at 25 Cromwell Street, but at the time of her murder in 1975 was living with a family friend in nearby Newent. It's believed she was abducted as she hitchhiked along a highway. Fred only remembered her as the girl from Newent. She was 18 years old. Shirley Robinson was the one Fred had first confessed to after his daughter Heather. She had been a lodger with the Wests and was known to have casual sex with them. At the time of her murder in May 1978, she was between 6 and 8 months pregnant with Fred's child. It's not believed there was any sexual motivation in Shirley's murder, but that her pregnancy had threatened the stability of Fred and Rose's relationship. Now, by saying there was no sexual motivation in this murder, insinuates there was in the previous and the others to come. Shirley and her unborn baby were found in the garden of 25 Cromwell Street. Shirley was 18 years old. Alison Chambers had been placed in foster care at the age of 14. She'd had a troubled life. She repeatedly absconded from the home and was known to be a frequent visitor to 25 Cromwell Street. She was killed in 1979 at the house. Fred would later claim that Alison died as a result of Rose, quote, becoming too bloody vicious with her during a sexual encounter. Her body was found in the garden. She was 16. Heather West was the last of Fred and Rose's confirmed murder victims. Their daughter, killed in 1987, dismembered and buried in a hole in their backyard that was dug by one of her brothers under the pretense they would be installing a fish pond. Oh my God. They never got a fish pond, and the area the hole had been dug was soon covered by a concrete patio by Fred. Heather was 16 years old. The first time Fred and Rose West saw each other since Fred's arrest in February was when they were both jointly brought to court to be formally charged over these 12 murders in June. So 4 months later. Despite Rose having been now charged, Fred maintained and insisted he had acted alone, going against any and all testimonies and accounts from witnesses and their children. He fiercely defended and protected his wife. When they sat down in court, seeing each other for the first time in 4 months, Fred leaned towards his wife and gently placed his hand upon her shoulder, smiling. Rose, having ignored her husband's presence, visibly winced in discomfort. As police attempted to lead Fred from the hearing, he resisted their efforts and again attempted to move towards Rose, who again winced and writhed away from his grasp, not looking at him. After this public rejection from his wife, Fred became increasingly and noticeably depressed in prison. He would write Rose letters daily, to which he never got a reply. He asked his adult children, and by adult they were still teenagers, to pass on his messages of love and devotion to their mother, to which she never responded. News got back to Fred that Rose had assumed the role of a grieving mother who had lost a daughter and stepdaughter to her husband's hand, and in which she declared both her innocence and her hatred of her husband. This caused Fred to drop the act. He had been betrayed by his wife, his love, and so his protection of her also fell away. Fred withdrew his early confessions to having acted alone in the murders, and instead said his wife had had almost total culpability in all of the murders to which he had been charged, excluding that of Anne McFall, which he still stated he didn't commit. This was also before he knew Rose. He confirmed what police knew from forensic evidence, that Rose had killed little Charmaine on her own while Fred was in prison.
Wow.
He also confirmed this had not been a planned, discussed, nor premeditated act. Fred never heard from Rose again. On the 1st of January 1995, 10 months after he had first been arrested for his daughter Heather's murder, Fred hanged himself in his prison cell. He left a suicide note which read, "To Rose West, Steve and May." It's two of his children.
Yeah.
And Rose, obviously. "Well, Rose, it's your birthday on November 29. You will be 41 and still beautiful and still lovely, and I love you. We will always be in love. The most wonderful thing in my life was when I met you. Our love is special to us. So, love, keep your promises to me. You know what they are. Where we are put together forever and ever is up to you. We loved Heather, both of us. I would love Charmaine to be with Heather and Rena. You will always be Mrs. West all over the world. That is important to me and to you. I haven't got you a present, but all I have is my life. I will give it to you, my darling. When you are ready, come to me. I will be waiting for you."
Oh my God.
Fred West was 53 years old and died alone, heartbroken, in a small, dirty prison cell with his name to be forever tainted and abhorred. This was far better than he deserved.
Yeah, yeah. And he was for some reason trying to protect Rose out of everything as well.
He protected her right up until
The end, when he learnt
that she was betraying him. I don't know why he decided to implicate her then. Maybe it was for some religious reason of his own. I don't know what that could have been, because it kind of felt like he's gone, well, fuck you then.
Yeah.
But then this suicide note, he loved her.
Yeah.
His suicide note was a letter to her. So after his death, Rose West therefore faced trial on her own. The prosecution portrayed the Wests as sex-obsessed, sadistic murderers, terming the bodies discovered at Cromwell Street and Midland Road as secrets more terrible than words can express. The last moments on earth for these victims were as objects of the depravity of this woman and her husband.
Yeah.
The defence argued it was all motivated by Fred and that Rose was unaware of her husband's sadism nor his crimes. They pointed to the fact that he had committed murders before he knew Rose. Against the advice of her lawyers, Rose took the stand herself. At times, she was teary and incredibly remorseful. She testified to being herself a victim of child abuse and rape who was groomed and coerced by an older man into marrying him. However, at other times through her testimony, Rose was upbeat, cracking jokes and laughing. She gave repeated contrary evidence to multiple other witnesses and victims whose accounts were all consistent with each other's, and Rose's were the only ones that were contradictory. The defence also tried to discredit witnesses as being motivated by personal grudges towards Rose. And this always feels like a really last-ditch attempt by defence to, okay, well, if we've got anything else, well, hang on, you can't actually believe the witnesses because, so they said that there were personal grudges towards Rose, that Fred was responsible and the world knew this, but he had killed himself, so they wanted to take someone down for this.
Right.
And or that they were that witnesses were exploiting them for financial gain given the high profile of the case.
So it was just huge news everywhere at the time.
Huge. Huge. Can you imagine one day a man is arrested, he takes police to his backyard of his home he lived with his, I think it's 10 children, and they dig up 5 bodies in that backyard, and then more and more and more appear over time.
Yeah, just keeps admitting to more over time.
Huge story.
Yeah.
And this was 1994 that it came out, right? So the first murder that we know was in 1967, but it was only 1994 that came out. Like that's in our lifetime,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
It was huge news. So the defence tried to argue that witnesses that came forward, people were selling their stories just to kind of be part of this big salacious tabloid headline.
Yeah.
And here is where I will bring back up the 17-year-old girl called Caroline Owens. Remember, she was abducted and raped and tortured, and that was the case I said could have, in a sliding doors moment, landed them in prison.
Yeah.
I bring her back up now because she was one of the witnesses in the case.
Wow.
And she did admit to receiving a £20,000 payment to tell her story in the media.
Oh, wow.
And this was used very much against her and other witnesses by Rose's defence. She had every entitlement, and it was her prerogative to tell her own story. And she had extreme survivor's guilt, saying in this story when she spoke to the media, "I only want to get justice for the girls who didn't make it. I feel like it was all my fault." This poor,
how horrible to live with that
girl. So I've included that in there to say we've called it a sliding doors moment. She has lived with that, thinking, what if I had testified? Like, it is just the most awful thought. And this poor girl, who's a woman at this point, testified on the stand. She went through all of that to make sure Rose West was put away, and she accepted a payment to tell her story and her story only, and that was used against her in the court. I swear to God, defence lawyers for people as guilty as this have a lot to answer for. Multiple witnesses and victims of the couple's assaults testified to Rose being the more aggressive perpetrator of the couple. Neighbours described Rose's glee at Charmaine's disappearance. Remember when she said, like, good riddance?
Yeah.
And her completely casual indifference to Heather's disappearance. The final witness to testify was a woman named Janet Leach. And you, Sammy, will remember she features heavily in the Netflix documentary, or I think it's Netflix, the documentary, which I will not bring up until the end.
Yeah.
Janet Leach was Fred's appointed appropriate adult. Given his low IQ, he was given essentially like a guardian, someone to kind of talk to him and act as his representative, but not in a legal sense. She was not working for the prosecution or the defence. She was a completely separate entity who was tasked with talking to him and helping him.
Kind of like a social worker in Australia, what we have.
Yep. Through this role, Fred and Janet grew quite a close bond, and Fred really grew to trust her and treat her as a confidant. She testified to the court that prior to his arrest, he and Rose had formed a pact whereby if they were ever caught, Fred would take full responsibility for all of the murders.
Wow.
Many of which he had privately described to Janet as being, quote, some of Rose's mistakes.
Wow.
After a 7-week trial, a jury unanimously found Rosemary West guilty of all charges.
Unanimously.
Wow. Of all of them.
So there were 10 charges for her?
Yes, 10 murder charges.
Yeah.
There were also charges of sexual abuse and child cruelty.
Sure,
as
of
well.
course, yeah.
Justice Charles Mantell described Rose's crimes as appalling and depraved and noted strongly that it didn't matter whose hand had struck the fatal blow, that the involvement in any murders of this magnitude made a person guilty of those murders in the strongest degree. So essentially when, they couldn't appeal by saying, well, Fred was the one who strangled this person, or if she was there, she was implicit, which the jury had found she was completely culpable and guilty of murder. He noted that few juries in the world would ever face such vital and important a task as this one had been, owing to the sheer horror and complexity of this case. Now,
imagine the evidence they saw and the...
I cannot understate how much I have kept out of this report.
Yeah.
How much just
if there
from
were a
the
documentary
volume,
that was available.
If there were.
I
actually don't think the documentary even went into...
No. The true horrors.
The true horrors, the sexual abuse, the way in which the women were killed, the things found with their bodies that suggested that the abuse that had gone on. And, I mean, I've read and listened to things about this that have been put out there in the media, and I'm just horrified and disturbed. This jury went through 7 weeks of all of the evidence could be given.
Yeah.
Aged 41, Rosemary West was sentenced to life in prison, never to be released. She has never taken responsibility nor shown remorse for any of her crimes. Today, she is still in prison, aged 71. She reportedly suffers health and mobility issues. She can barely walk and is housed in a unit in maximum security prison for disabled and vulnerable prisoners. That is where she will one day die. This, like Fred, is far better than she deserves.
Absolutely.
It has long been speculated that Fred, either alone or with Rose, committed many more murders. Fred even telling his appropriate adult Janet that he had planned to reveal the location of one more body per year for the rest of his life, but he inevitably took his own life before he revealed any more.
Wow.
We will never know the entire truth, but what we do know is that the absolute monsters who are or were Fred and Rosemary West will never be able to hurt another person again. And that, somehow, unbelievably, is a brief overview of the heinous crimes of, I'm going to call them because I hope they are and will be, history's worst married couple.
Yeah. Thank you for that story. I mean, it is such an awful, awful case. And I remember seeing that documentary on Netflix and going, this is awful. And I hadn't heard of these two before, and I was
We've brought them up in numerous episodes where we've said kind of in passing, we've been talking about like Folie à Deux, and we've kind of said in passing, like Fred and Rosemary West, right? And like the House of Horrors and 25 Cromwell Street kind of known. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of, true crime listeners, people who are I was going to say involved in, hopefully not involved in, interested in,
Yep.
have heard of Fred and Rosemary West. I think everyone has heard of Fred and Rosemary West. Everyone knows they killed lots of people. Maybe children were involved. Maybe their children were involved. Not quite sure, but I know there was something about they dug up lots of bodies in their backyard.
Yep.
Right? The details and the depravity and the years and years and decades of abuse and not being found and horror that went on in that house and outside of it and before is just, as I said, I've known this story forever, but researching it, I don't know, maybe that's what made me sick. Maybe that's why it took me so long to write. It is just, I am very happy to leave that story behind.
Yeah.
But before we do, what I will say is there is discourse around whether Rose was in some ways a victim herself.
Right. Yeah.
She was 15 when she met the 27-year-old Fred.
She was groomed. She was
and I think, very much my opinion, I would say undoubtedly she was groomed into being with him.
Yeah.
However, for 2 decades, there are multiple reports, witness testimonies that all corroborate that she was very much an aggressor. She definitely killed Charmaine on her own. That's been proven.
Yeah. Well, he was in jail at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That whether he's groomed her into being an aggressor, she was one and continued that way for 20 years. She never turned around and said, Fred talked me into this, Fred groomed me, now I'm not under his spell anymore. I can say this. She just denied ever having any involvement, which she clearly did. I find it very difficult to side, I suppose. I don't know what words I want to use here. Side with the discourse or the argument that she may have been a victim herself. Maybe that's the wrong thing to say. I think she was a victim of being groomed. She was a victim of maybe society and circumstance in her life in ending up with him. However, I think when it comes to the murders and the abuse, sexual and physical, of dozens of people over decades, I don't think there is no sympathy from me.
Does it remind you a little bit of the David and Catherine Burney?
No. Well, I mean,
no.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, obviously, in that they're a married couple.
Yeah.
David and Catherine Burney, I felt more leniency towards
really?
Catherine Burney.
Yeah.
I
okay.
think.
Right. Okay.
That to me felt a bit more like a grooming situation. I don't know. I think the fact that Fred and Rose West's crimes went on for decades, and that there are multiple reports that Rose was the more aggressive of the two, makes it really hard for me to see any or find any sympathy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, it's
but that's
so
that's coming from a place of extreme and grateful privilege that I've obviously not been in a situation anywhere near that, being groomed and being in an upbringing where you may find yourself in that position. So I very much, caveat that with coming from a place of privilege. But I find it very, very difficult to find myself leaning it all towards a place of feeling like she wasn't extremely complicit and guilty in.
Yeah. I would love to see some sort of psychiatrist or someone going, this is the mental state of someone during that time, because those two, just monsters.
Yes.
And would be, in terms of the TV show Monsters with Ryan Murphy, they would be, I would think, up there in terms of the next thing that they could do, that Ryan Murphy could do about them, because they are such monsters. But I do wonder how you do tell that, because it is such a fascinating thing where, even watching the documentary, I was like, what is going on? It's so hard to know the dynamic of that relationship.
I think one thing for me is that Rose killing Charmaine on her own was really early in the piece.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
1971, so I've closed the document. I think 1971 or 74,
it was
maybe early 70s.
Yeah.
That was like when they just kind of got together.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the psychology about grooming and everything, but it's not to suggest that there'd been years of where he'd been slowly ingratiating her into his, sick fantasies and sadism and masochism. She killed Charmaine on her own when he was in prison.
Yeah.
Like when Charmaine was only 8, like they'd only been together 2 years, and all of the sexually motivated murders came after that. All the sexually motivated murders were in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just, I don't know. I don't feel sorry for that bitch.
No, not at all.
To sum it up.
Not saying that, but it is interesting, the psychology.
I've had conversations with people who go, but she was groomed. Yes, she did this, but she was groomed. She was a victim herself. And I just find it really difficult personally to feel that.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think?
No, I think being 15 years old, being like, she's at a bus stop, she's had like, I don't know, there's something about her that seems so, I don't even know what the word is, but not
sad.
Not right. Like, and then meeting him.
And saying, like calling him revolting and disgusting.
Calling
and
him that when
and
she
then,
met him, and then also hating and having a hatred for his ex and his life before her. And having that violence and that anger, like you just wonder what this life was and where that stemmed from, because there has to be something other than.
I think folie à deux plays into it a lot as well. We've spoken about that before. The concept that, like kind of crazy multiplied.
Yeah,
you get two people with the same wrong thoughts. Bring them together, multiplies those thoughts because they're kind of feeding off each other.
Yeah,
this is a big case of that.
Yeah.
Oof.
Huge story. Thank you, G, and thank you for doing it while you're sick as well.
No. Thank you again, and thank you, beautiful Joel Christie. I just kind of met between Joel Christie and Joel Christie.
Joel Christie.
For filling in for me when I was away. It's been a goddamn year. I really hope 2026. I hope and believe, and I'm putting out into the universe 2026. I'm going to be just so much more well and calm and prepared and calm. That's the word I'm looking for.
You know what? It's going to be that. And we are going to be doing this podcast over the Christmas break.
Yeah,
so we're going to keep you company all over the Christmas holidays. Yep. We're going to have some Christmas themed shows, but we're going to just have a really nice time.
We're going to keep going because you know what? I have been a big podcast fan for many, many years, and I work in an industry that does not have Christmas off.
Yeah.
And I still drive to work every day.
Yeah.
Not Christmas Day. I'm not.
Not
playing my little.
Never said you Santa.
Not playing my mini violin here. But over when a lot of other people have.
Something like that.
So that's funny, Christmas break off. I'm still driving to work,
Yeah.
wanting to put on my favourite podcast in the morning.
I love
and
listening
it
to
really annoys
podcasts.
me when they all take breaks. So you know what? We've gone, it annoys us as listeners when our favourite shows aren't releasing weekly episodes. So we're going to do it for you.
It's our first year of doing the podcast. We want to keep going. We want to keep bringing you the stories.
We just really want you to be obsessed with us because we're obsessed with you.
That's actually true.
If you're still here, this is such a long episode. But hey, maybe this is the new rule. If we have to take a week off, whether it be for sickness or a cruise in the Caribbean, we have to come back with a double length episode to make up for it.
And Joel Christie, I will say. So Joel came and did the episode. Joel, as he messaged me on his way here, said gays always run late. So then Joel was half an hour late, had to be at work, which is a national radio show. Live radio. So Joel's having a Chardonnay, having a lovely time. And after we finished, so during the recording, I said to Joel, hey, this is my place. I was like, Joel, do you need to go? And Joel said, smash more Chardonnay. I've got 10 more minutes, right? So we did the rest of the podcast. then I was like, we haven't got a lot of facts here, so I'll come back and do that after. I did my own recording after that. But I said to Joel after it, he goes, and then told me amazing stories after that. And I said, do you have to go? And he goes, 10 more minutes. And it was just so funny.
How many minutes after he initially said 10 more minutes?
It was about 40 minutes. And so then Joel goes, a splash more Chardonnay.
I love him.
And so then was running and then looked at the time and went, oh, I'm going to be in so much trouble for like running late to work and everything. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And anyway, and then after it was on the way out, said I have to come back. I have so many more stories to tell.
Oh my
So Joel is one of
God.
those people that has to come back sometime soon.
Yep.
We've had amazing responses from Scott Williams, aka
yes.
Will Patterson, and Miff Warhurst as well. So those
How
those people
wonderful
to
are
come
our
back.
guests?
The best.
Oh
They're
my
the goddamn
God.
best.
Oh, you know who the only people in the whole world who are better than our guests?
Listeners.
Our listeners.
That's right.
Oh, we love you.
We love you. And we'll be back with the mailbag section in just a moment.
Yeah, we're going to make it a short one because
Yeah.
you guys are like,
You've
I feel
hung
like
on.
we've all aged
Yeah,
in this
we have,
episode.
Absolutely. Apart from Diggs, who is sitting with me right now, looking so gorgeous.
He's just a little baby boy.
Just a little baby boy. We're back after this.